Today, I'm going to be revisiting one of gaming's biggest disappointments, No Man's Sky. For context, when this game released back in 2016, it was one of the most anticipated games ever. But after its launch, it's fair to say it didn't quite live up to the hype, and was mostly regarded as a disappointment. However, despite the rocky start, the developers at Hello Games never gave up, and have released over 200 official updates to No Man's Sky over the last 8 years. These updates have added a ton of new features, like base building, multiplayer, VR support, and massive expansions like their most recent update, Worlds Part 1, which totally revamped the game's visuals. And while almost everyone is talking about the newest update, I decided to take a step back and look at the game in its entirety. And let me be the one to say that they've done an amazing job bringing the game back to life. I'd even dare go as far to say that it's the best space game out there. Now, that's not to say that the game is perfect, in fact, far from it, but it definitely stands out as one of the best in its genre. So for this video, we're going to be taking a look at all the different aspects of No Man's Sky as it stands today. But before we do, let me just say this. I really enjoy this game, but I am not only going to say good things about it in this video. So if you're expecting me to sit here and just glaze the game for 20 minutes straight, then you might be in the wrong place. I'll be giving my opinion, which will be positive at most times, but I'm going to try to be as honest as I can about the game's flaws. And boy, are there definitely some flaws I'm going to talk about. So with that said, now we can hop into the video. If you're here after hearing about the most recent update, Worlds Part 1, then you probably know that No Man's Sky has seen a huge improvement to its graphics and visuals. The update completely revamped the game's aesthetics, making the game look better than ever before. And let me tell you, the game, in my opinion, looks absolutely amazing now, and to the point where I honestly don't have many bad things to say about it. In fact, every time I log in, I'm blown away by just how beautiful and immersive the universe has become. One aspect I personally really want to highlight are the skies of each planet. As I've been playing the game, I often find myself getting lost in just how beautiful they are now. They're dynamic, with clouds and weather that change in real time, making each planet's atmosphere feel actually alive. Daytime skies are vibrant, and nighttime scenes can be surprisingly beautiful depending on the planet. It really adds a much-needed sense of immersion as you explore new worlds. Now, this could be a controversial take, but I think No Man's Sky's strongest visual aspect is the sheer vibrancy and detail of its environment. The game isn't afraid to be bright and colorful, or have dramatic and varied landscapes. Something that I think another recent space game could probably improve on, because man, not only did everything feel washed out or dull in Starfield, the planets just felt empty and devoid of life. That's just my opinion though, and I'm sure there are some people who prefer a darker atmosphere for the game. But even aside from the bright and colorful design choices, No Man's Sky is honestly just gorgeous. Like, it looks fantastic. The details, the shadows, the way water moves now, it all does so much for the game's visuals. So overall, I think No Man's Sky's graphics and visuals are impressively good, especially considering where it first started. So good job, Hello Games, you earned it. Exploration is the backbone of No Man's Sky, and in my opinion, its strongest feature. On paper, there's so much to explore that you as a player could realistically never explore everything, as it would be impossible to do so in your lifetime. Let me put it into perspective. You are some humanoid that starts off stranded on a random planet somewhere. Thus, the first thing you could explore is the planet you start on. The planet can fall under one of many categories, like frozen, lush, volcanic, or exotic. And since these planets are procedurally generated, they will have different environments, plant life, minerals, resources, objectives, buildings, and creatures to explore. Oh, and you know what the best part is? You can actually explore the entire planet. It might take a while, but you can if you really want to. Once you inevitably leave the planet, you are then met with solar systems. Within each solar system, there are typically multiple planets and moons of which you can visit, and I believe it's anywhere between 1 to 6 that can spawn per system. On top of that, almost every system will have a space station. This is typically the system's main hub for trading, accepting missions, and interacting with the system's species. They're all laid out in the same general way, however it's worth noting that some systems will have their own unique space stations that may or may not have different secrets within them. In the free space of each system, you'll also find asteroids, craters, and anomalies, with certain systems having their own unique anomalies that I won't spoil for anyone who's never played. Eventually, once we decide to leave a solar system, we're then met with probably the craziest part of the game, the galactic map. This map shows every single solar system in the game, and yes, you can travel to all of them. Every single star you can see on screen is a system you can explore in game. It was once said that there are 18 quintillion planets to explore, though it's calculated that there's probably only about 2 quadrillion planets accessible in vanilla play, which, either way, is a lot for any one person to explore. You could live your entire lifetime and never see everything, which, thinking about it, might actually be a downside for some people. Regardless, the sheer scale of the game and what's available for you to explore is completely unheard of. I can't think of any game that has a map size that's anywhere near this magnitude. Except maybe Minecraft, because I think that's technically infinite if your computer can handle it. Now, despite the scale of No Man's Sky's universe, there is an unfortunate and very daunting downside to the procedural generation that is used to create it. And that is that there's a technical limit to the variation between places and things within the game. For example, let's take a look at planets. Specifically, we'll talk about frozen planets. On the first frozen planet I visit, the terrain, plant life, and fauna will all be brand new to me. On the second, there will be some new variations of everything with small overlap in design and feel, but it will overall feel mostly new as I explore it. But as I continue this process, after each frozen planet I visit, I will start to see more and more overlap with each environment. Eventually, everything will blend together, and nothing on frozen planets will feel particularly new. At some point, it will even feel like you visited every frozen planet the game has to offer, even though there's a trillion more you actually haven't. And this problem persists with more aspects of the game than just planets. Eventually, this will happen for most things you can explore in the game. Now, the time and length at which it takes a person to reach this point will be different for everyone, but it is a very real issue with how the game is done. Though, it is worth mentioning that the new graphics and visuals they just added help with this issue tremendously, as everything in the game is gorgeous, so the lack of diversity can be overlooked at most times. Don't get me wrong though, either way, I think exploration in this game is amazing, and there's not a lot of games that come close to how much there is to explore and the sense of scale. But as people say, it's as large as an ocean, but deep as a pond. The sheer magnitude of the universe is amazing, but it can sometimes lack depth, and after a while, it definitely starts to feel a little dry. But hey, the devs just keep adding more and more to see, so in the future, maybe this won't even be a problem anymore. I mean, shoot, the newest update just added more planet types, creatures, plant life, and missions to do. And for free, by the way, which is pretty awesome. Oh, and you know what else is pretty awesome? There's almost no loading screens in this game. Everything you do on planets and within a solar system has no loading screen at all. The only time there's a loading screen is when you're traveling between systems using the galactic map or by teleporting. Other than that though, there are literally no other loading screens to speak of in the game. Bethesda could never. No Man's Sky is often referred to as Minecraft in space, which is a pretty accurate generalization of the gameplay. In Minecraft, you gather resources, upgrade tools, build bases, kill innocent creatures, engage in combat, and explore. In No Man's Sky, you gather resources, upgrade and fix your equipment, build bases, kill innocent creatures, engage in combat both on land and in space, and explore, all with the added additions of different missions and storylines. Let's start with gathering resources. Throughout your playthrough of No Man's Sky, you'll spend a lot of time mining resources from planets, asteroids, and other celestial bodies, especially when you're first starting out. And like most games where you gather resources, this can sometimes be a bit of a slog with how much of a grind it is. However, the game provides various methods to speed up this process, like upgrading your multi-tool, building structures that can gather resources passively, and the ability to purchase certain resources on the galactic market. If you're determined enough, you could probably automate the gathering of every single resource in the game and never have to manually gather it yourself again. Though personally, I never really minded gathering resources, but I know a lot of people seem to dislike how much of a grind it is. I'm an engineer at heart, so I just automate everything anyway, but there is definitely a simple pleasure you can get from gathering resources with your mining beam. There might be a bit of clunkiness from the controls and how your equipment operates, but it's overall good enough for this to not really be an issue, at least in my opinion. Once you've gathered resources, they then play a huge part in crafting and upgrading, which are two more major systems you'll experience in No Man's Sky. The crafting system is pretty much exactly as it sounds, and lets you craft everything from basic tools to advanced technology. In my opinion, this is one of the aspects of the game that could really use some updating, simply because it can sometimes be extremely annoying crafting specific components, especially ones that require other components to craft. Upgrading, on the other hand, is a different story. Upgrading your equipment, and especially your starship, is incredibly satisfying, is what many players spend a lot of time doing. Everyone's always on the hunt to find the best looking starship they can, that's also the best rank, and trying to upgrade all of its parts to match along the way. There are even whole Reddit pages and websites dedicated to just this purpose, and that's because it adds a very palpable sense of progression to the game. Though nowadays, you could actually just build your own ship. You can choose all the different parts and components, as well as what colors you want it to be, all as long as you have the parts to do so. I personally haven't had the chance to play around with this, but if it works the way I think it does, then this is an amazing part of the game, and I'm really glad they added it. Alright, next thing on the list for gameplay is base building. Once you have resources, you can build yourself a base using the technology you have access to, or by using your multi-tool to terraform the environment. These bases will probably be where you do the bulk of your crafting, resource gathering, and storage. You can have up to roughly 400 different bases per save file, which is a lot, but there is a limit to how many base objects you can have on one save file, at about 16,000. I typically have a couple nice home bases, and then the rest I use to just gather different resources I need. Oh, and in addition to all the different bases, you'll eventually get access to a freighter later in the game, which you can then also build a space base on. And yeah, really not much else to say about base building. It's pretty good, and I've seen some really crazy builds from the community, so it's definitely possible to get pretty creative with it. Next, we have something that No Man's Sky has gotten a lot of criticism for in the past, and that is the combat. Let me be upfront with you here, there isn't a whole lot of combat in this game, but there's a reason for that. No Man's Sky is, by design, an exploration game, and thus, combat was never meant to be a primary focus. That said, they've done a lot to improve on the concept and have been adding a lot more combat-focused encounters over the years. Combat can be separated into two different categories: land combat and space combat. On land, you'll be faced with sentinels, instant creatures, or the occasional monstrosity that you're able to combat and kill. This combat is mostly achieved through the use of your multi-tool, which can be outfitted with different weapons and upgrades, but there's also a mech that you can build called the Minotaur, which can help dispatch enemies rather efficiently. In space, combat is pretty standard. You're either fighting sentinels, pirates, or random innocent ships, and this will all be done from the comfort of your starship. In both cases, combat is pretty basic and simple. It's not too terribly difficult to get a grasp of, and is notably easy when you do really get the hang of it. So if you're playing the game looking for a satisfying, complex, and challenging combat experience, then No Man's Sky might not be the game for you. Though, you can always mess with the difficulty settings if you're looking to make things like combat more of a challenge. I wouldn't do it personally, but settings like permadeath mode do a pretty good job at raising the stakes of combat and everything else of that nature. That said, even with the added difficulty, there isn't much combat unless you're purposely seeking it out, in which case, there's actually a decent amount of it. Plus, they keep adding more and more to the game, with additions like a space battle against a dreadnought, raiding different transport freighters, and even large-scale bug hunts against biological horrors. There's even a little bit of PvP in the game, though I don't know how this works personally, and I don't see a lot of people talk about it. Either way, while combat may not be the best, there's still a lot to be explored with the concept. Last but not least for the gameplay, we have the missions and storylines. I'm gonna keep it real with you. This is gonna be a short section, and that's because there are missions to do and a couple different storylines to follow, but there's really not a whole lot else to say about them. They add some much needed lore to the vast universe, but I think more than anything, they act as a starting guide for anyone who's new to No Man's Sky, and help a lot in giving you things to do when you're first learning the game. Otherwise though, they honestly don't have a whole lot of depth to them, and you could totally ignore them without hindering your progress in any way. There are also some side missions that give you various rewards and ranks within the game, but they generally suffer from lack of diversity, and after doing enough of them, they can get old pretty quick. It's all something to do, I guess, but otherwise it's not much else. Multiplayer, like many things in No Man's Sky, is something that was promised for the game's release, but not initially included when it came out. They have since added it though, incrementally through various different updates. And while it can be fun exploring the universe with friends and going on different missions together, I have to wonder how much value it really adds to the gameplay experience. Don't get me wrong, chilling out with your friends, flying through space, fighting pirates or various monsters together can be pretty fun and overall a good time. But the way it's included feels very novelty for me. It's a lot less, I'm gonna do these things with my friends, and a lot more, I'm doing these things and my friends are also there, if you get what I mean. Think of it kinda like single player, but with friends around. It's cool that they can be there with you, but it's not very deep or exciting in all honesty, and there's not a whole lot of co-op interaction to speak of. As far as just general multiplayer is concerned, you probably won't come across very many random people on your travels. Though, you will see people inside the Anomaly, which is essentially just the multiplayer hub for the game, where you can also do missions with people as well. Overall, I think the multiplayer is okay at best. It's kind of fun, but lacks a lot of the depth that you'd probably want when playing. And the last big aspect I want to talk about is expeditions. Simply put, expeditions are timed community events that encompass several challenges and achievements exclusive to each named expedition. Each expedition has a unique starship that you must use to complete the event, and once completed, there are a multitude of items and rewards waiting for you. In my personal opinion, I think they're really interesting, because they provide a number of things that are usually less abundant when playing the base game. First, you're playing in a much less lonely galaxy, as other players are present and also trying to complete the expedition alongside you. Second, it creates a very goal-oriented focus to the gameplay, as you have a limited time to complete all the challenges presented to you to complete the expedition. And third, which is the offering of completely unique rewards that you can then use in the normal game. Overall, I would say these are fun and a unique addition to the standard game, but the downside is that they're not always happening. But I guess they are just supposed to be special events after all. Regardless, when they are happening, they're really fun, and I recommend checking them out while you have the chance to. Alright, I've given you guys a pretty good look at all the aspects of No Man's Sky as it stands today, so now it's time for the conclusion. I know I didn't talk about everything, but I think I covered all the big stuff. Here's the thing. No Man's Sky is great, and it's really come a long way from where it began, but there's a whole lot holding it back from being a true masterpiece. Like I said earlier, the game is as large as an ocean, but as deep as a pond. There's a whole lot to love about the sheer magnitude of the game, but because of the inherent focus this puts on world generation, exploration, and things to accomplish, it ends up lacking a lot of fundamental depth. And yes, the game by its design is an exploration game, but it doesn't matter if everything ends up feeling too repetitive at some point. The point is discovery after all, but once you feel like nothing's new, then the game really loses its sense of wonder, and I think this is the main thing they need to fix. They should add cities to planets, more points of interest, more life to the universe, or at least give you more reason to actually explore everything there is to see. We need more goals, missions, and just things to do to keep us engaged with everything going on. And on top of that, there's a lot of areas of the game that could use some major refinement, and adding on even a little polish for them would go a long way. Honestly, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I think with where we are in the game's life cycle, it may just be smart to make a sequel rather than continue updating the game. Take everything we've learned, everything that went well, and everything that went poorly, and then use that to make an even better game next time. But here's the thing. Despite all the bad parts I just pointed out in No Man's Sky, I still absolutely adore this game. And yes, I mean that even knowing all of its flaws. Listen, I acknowledge this game isn't for everyone, and I think the biggest reason this is the case is because there's no real goals in the game, so you're forced to make your own intrinsic motivation. You have to engage with things because you want to, rather than just for progress or rewards. But that's what I find so beautiful about it. The game gives you absolute freedom to do whatever you want with everything in its universe. It might not be non-stop action or the most in-depth experience, but I can just chill out and enjoy exploring the vast universe the way I want to. And ever since they released Worlds Part 1, I've sunk almost 100 hours into the game, and I'm still loving every second of it. And I really think that it's the best space game out there. So here's my best advice to anyone who wants to try No Man's Sky and enjoy it to the fullest. Now bear with me when I say this, but you're going to want to avoid being a professional gamer for once. And here's what I mean. This game, like many others in today's gaming landscape, suffers from what I like to call the pro gamer fallacy. The harder you try to perfectly optimize every little thing, and the more you look up guides and answers to questions you may have, and the more you try to be the best at everything, the less you're going to enjoy it all. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be good at the game. All I'm saying is that you should embrace the journey rather than race to the destination. If you welcome the unknown and enjoy the universe for what it is, as an endless sandbox of possibilities, taking your time enjoying all there is to see, you will love the game a lot more than you would otherwise. And your experience will last a lot longer. All in all, No Man's Sky is a great game, and while it's still not technically everything that Hello Games promised originally, they have done an amazing job at bringing the game back to life. I mean, just compare the game now to where it originally started. The comparison is like night and day, and whether you like the game or not, you have to appreciate all the hard work that Hello Games has put in to try and commit to original promises. I mean, come on, most developers would have given up by now, but even after 8 long years, Hello Games is still working on No Man's Sky. I'm excited to see where the game goes from here, and even more excited to check out the next game they're currently developing, Light No Fire. If you enjoyed the video or don't agree with anything I said, let me know down in the comments below, and hey, if you want to see more videos from me, why not subscribe? Or don't, it's really up to you. Either way, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.